2026. The International Criminal Court at The Hague. The world expected a spectacle. The Punisher, Rodrigo Duterte, finally facing the scales of international justice. Instead, they found an empty chair. To the prosecution, it was a snub. To the media, it was a headline. But to the legal mind, it was a masterstroke. Rodrigo Duterte didn't just skip a hearing. He detonated a procedural landmine that exposed the fragile machinery of international law. This is not a story of a man in hiding. This is the story of how a waiver became a weapon. The prosecution demanded his presence. They cited the gravity of the charges, crimes against humanity. They pointed to the victims. They argued that justice required his physical or virtual attendance. But Duterte's legal team threw the Rome Statute back at them. Under the law, presence at a confirmation hearing is a right, not an obligation. By forcing the issue, Duterte's team made the ICC prosecution look like they were choosing theater over due process. Why insist on dragging an 80-year-old man into a glass booth? The editorial pulse is clear. The prosecution didn't want a trial. They wanted a trophy. By granting the waiver, the judges chose the law. By seeking it, Duterte exposed the prosecution's hunger for optics over dignity. But the true genius of the move lay in the filing itself. Duterte didn't just say, "I'm not coming." He said, "I was stolen." In a stunning rhetorical shift, the former president reframed his transfer to The Hague as an abduction dressed as law. He didn't just target the court. He targeted Malacanang. He named names. He pointed to the administration of Ferdinand Marcos Jr., claiming the Philippine state acted not as a sovereign power, but as an instrument of surrender. Think about the paradox. A man who once held the highest office in the land now claims his own government kidnapped him for a foreign power. It turns the defendant into a detainee. It turns the suspect into a seized citizen. Then comes the structural blow. Jurisdiction. Duterte's argument is simple, but devastating. The Philippines withdrew from the Rome Statute. Therefore, the ICC is a gatecrasher in a house it no longer owns. International law says the ICC is a court of last resort. It only steps in when a nation is unwilling or unable to act. But look at the Philippines. Its courts are open. Its judges are presiding. Its system is functioning. Duterte's stance is that the ICC isn't filling a vacuum. It's creating a distortion. To reclassify domestic police operations as international atrocities isn't just a legal disagreement. It is a category collapse. He isn't just refusing to attend. He is refusing to consent to the premise that the court even exists for him. In the end, the judges granted the waiver. They chose the quiet path of the law over the loud demands of the prosecution. But the damage to the narrative is done. Duterte's absence will dominate the headlines more than his presence ever could. His written words, kidnapped, unlawful, no jurisdiction, will echo through the halls of The Hague without the distraction of a frail body in a booth. In chess, the most dangerous move isn't the one that takes a piece. It's the one that exposes the entire board. Rodrigo Duterte just moved his queen. Now, the world waits to see if the ICC or the Philippine state has a counter move left.